That's what forms the primary yolk sac. We don't see that. We see the secondary yolk sac, not the primary yolk sac. It's already pinched off by the time we see a yolk sac inside the gestational sac. Okay. The outer cytotrophoblastic shell, the connecting stalk, the amniotic cavity. This is when we would see a double bleb. Here's a yolk sac that tells us that we have an IUP. This is the chorionic cavity, also gestational sac, also extra embryonic coleum. Now, inside of this, I have the chorionic plate. The chorionic plate goes all the way around. The amniotic cavity is what's going to hold the baby, and eventually it will fuse with the chorionic plate. The chorionic plate is that fetal or maternal endometrium.
Fetal.
Because of the word chorionic plate. Okay? The umbilical vesicle, that is what nourishes the conceptus. It produces the first blood cells. The vitelline veins and arteries move blood from the embryo. What carries blood to the baby? Arteries or veins?
Veins.
Veins. Veins carry blood to the baby. Arteries carry blood back to the placenta. It's just the opposite for fetal circulation. Okay? The vitelline veins and arteries move blood from the embryo. It should move blood to and from the embryo. The allantois, it's an extension of embryology, and it forms the urachus. Have y'all heard that before? Urachus? Because in pathology, we're going to, the urachus is at the top of the bladder. It connects the bladder to the umbilicus. Okay? That is, the allantois is what helps the umbilical arteries to become active. The first sonographic evidence of an IUP. There's three things. We need to see decidua reaction, then we see a gestational sac, and then we see an IUP, a yolk sac. Okay, that's the order that it happens in. Decidua reaction, gestational sac, yolk sac. Okay. Here we have an embryo that is growing. These three folds right here are going to become the facial bones or the ears. This is the yolk sac. The yolk sac does what?
Nutrient
It
for the
feeds
baby.
the baby. It helps with the transfer of nutrients because the placenta is not working yet. So we still need to feed our baby during that early conceptual time when this is going to be an embryo, because it's greater than, oh, here it says a 5-week embryo. Okay, now I have a connecting stalk. My arteries and my vein are just forming. Arteries carry blood away from the baby. Veins carry blood to the baby. Here's the amnion. What does the amnion do? It covers the baby. Okay? The amnion is inside the chorionic cavity. So the umbilical cord is covered by amnion. So when you look at a newborn's belly button, it's kind of a greenish yellow membrane. That's amnion. Looks kind of translucent. Okay? Because remember, the conceptus. First it's flat, then it's going to curl up like a taco, and then it's going to fold on itself like a fortune cookie. The outside of the baby is where you're going to have your spinal cord or the neural crest develop. You have a caudal end and you have a cephalic end. Okay. The one closest to the cephalic is going to help do the brain. And we're gonna learn the different stages of the brain this chapter. Okay. So the chorionic villi burrow into the endometrium at the decidua visalis. Okay. At the decidua visalis, then I'm going to have the chorion frondosum. That is also called the villus chorion. It's the tissue surrounding the embryo. It's fetal in origin and will eventually become the placenta. The chorionic villi will. The chorionic villi burrow down into the decidua functionalis to the decidua basalis to form the primitive placenta. The syncytotrophoblast erodes the decidua. The villi is what burrows it to the decidua basalis. The chorionic levy is the endometrium that is covering the blastocyst. The fetal portion is called the chorion frondosum. The maternal side is called the decidua capsularis. Is it all coming together? Slowly? Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, the maternal side, the decidua side. It supplies blood by the spiral arteries to the primitive placenta. It drains what it receives from the baby by the endometrial veins. Because everywhere you have an artery, you have a vein, right? Okay. The placenta produces chorionic gonadotropins, estrogen, and progesterone. We can measure the beta HCGs by urine and by blood. Blood is quantitative because it's more exact, and urine is qualitative. It just tells me yes or no. Okay? Any questions before I leave? It's a lot of information, but we repeated it a lot. Yes.
So, being that the fetus is, the veins is what is supplying blood, and the arteries is what's draining it. So, how does it like reverse at the maternal side?
It doesn't. It goes through the placenta. The placenta does what it needs to do, and through osmosis, it drains back into the maternal.
Mr. President,
Yes.
the urine is quantity.
No,
Yeah, that's what I
Is
was
it?
saying too.
oh, I have it wrong.
It says the urine tests are qualitative.
Urine or qualitative? And blood is quantitative, right?
Because the blood has the number attached to it, so that all be quantitative. Quantity, how much something is, that's why blood.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. So we're looking at the number is more than,
But the
That's what it is.
quantity,
It's yeah, it's going to be more specific. It's gonna tell me, the quantitative is gonna tell me how much HCG is in my blood.
so we're looking for the number anyway, right?
Correct.
We need to see the higher number.
That's the only way we can see it is
Yeah,
through blood. We can't see it through urine.
okay.